afternoon, everyone. So we're excited to bring the educational community together around AutoDrive this afternoon. We've been experience over the last over the year plus putting together an integrated competition for you and going through an RFP process to identify the best and the brightest in the universities that are ready to participate in a fully autonomous vehicle competition. So what we're going to do here today is the formal announcement of the universities that were participating. It was an extremely rigorous process. I see lots of the professors shaking their head. Yes, it was. They made us jump through lots of hoops. But we wanted to make sure that the universities were ready and willing and able to take part in this competition. And I think what you'll see here today is that we've identified the best and the brightest and those ready to go. So we're going to hear from a couple of different folks today. First, I'd like to introduce Mr. Ken Kelzer. Ken is the Vice President of GM Global Vehicle Components and Subsystems. He will speak to you first from a GM perspective. I'll come back up and we'll introduce Dr. Shutt. Thank you.
Well, good afternoon. Usually an indication of the excitement is the crowd, and maybe we should have got a bigger venue because I'm not the only one who's excited. I see the anxiety with the schools and the universities, and we'll get to the announcement here very shortly. I do have a couple of prepared remarks here that I'd want to share with you before we go too far. And the older I get, I need to have some reading glasses, unfortunately. So let me say thanks to the SAE International folks for being such wonderful hosts today and the partners in this competition. And as you mentioned, we started this over a year ago, and it is really exciting to finally see this come together here this afternoon. And I'm very excited to see what's going to happen here with the next steps here with the AutoDrive Challenge journey. General Motors and SAE received a wonderful response from some of the strongest schools both here in the United States as well as in Canada. For those of you that don't know my background, I spent a few years in Canada and have worked with many of the Canadian schools that were here, so it's really great to be back in touch with many of you. In a few minutes, my colleague David Shutt from SAE International will actually announce the selected schools and introduce their representatives. But before we do that, I want to take a moment to share how proud General Motors is to be part of this unique competition. In the past year, we've made great strides towards an autonomous future by acquiring Cruise Automation, investing in ride-sharing company Lyft, and increase the size of our autonomous engineering organization. And as you can read in the press, we're going to continue to do that on a very rapid and accelerated pace. And in this new, fast-paced world of automated driving, we need GM engineers to hit the ground running, whether transferring from another project or joining us straight from school. We believe the AutoDrive Challenge is the perfect way to give students the hands-on experience they need to find success and to introduce GM to these future engineers and top-tier talent. And I just want to back up for a moment with the initial discussions that we had in the office regarding how do we want to handle that. A year ago was when we were talking Cruise Automation, Lyft, autonomous, level 4 SAE standards, and the question was, how are we as an industry going to bring it to that level? And the conversation was, how do we find and attract the number of engineers necessary? How do we work with our academic partners and get them on a curriculum and an engagement with the OEMs and the suppliers to keep reaching that next pinnacle in the technology? And then when you think about it, this is really going to be a space that the first vehicles you see are going to have a technology. I don't know how, but in the future it's going to be different than what you see on the first cars, because that's what's going to evolve. That's what's going to evolve very quickly. And actually part of this competition is to find that out and to work with the universities and understand the research that they're doing, get with the students that are bright from these areas, and put it all together with the top tier suppliers and start making these game-changing technology shifts that we're looking for. So I'm very excited to see how this plays out in the next 3 years. So we will be working closely with each school throughout the competition. We are supplying to each school a Chevy Bolt EV, and we're also giving them an engineer mentor to each team. Can I have the mentors raise your hand in the back and around there? That's great, thank you. Thanks for your involvement there. We have the universities. Maybe show of hands from all the university reps here. Thank you. Thanks for joining. I got to tell you, I personally looked at a lot of the information that you submitted on this, and man, you got some bright people putting this together, and you got some really bright people in your university, so thanks for taking the time and bringing that forward. Now, this is a 3-year competition. Our first competition we are going to host at our Desert Proving Grounds in Yuma, Arizona, so I hope to see many of you there next year. The key elements, coupled with these generous donations of hardware and software from our sponsors, are going to ensure success in this program. And we have found success when we have application-based learnings, like Formula SAE, for example. I think everyone, both the schools, the OEMs, and the suppliers find a great talent pool, and we're looking to do the same thing here. So thank you for your support, and congratulations to all you participating universities. General Motors looks forward to working with you, alongside of you, and learning from you. So thanks again for your involvement and engagement, and I look forward to seeing the winners and talking further here in the future. Thanks again, and congratulations. Back to you, Chris.
Next, I'd like to welcome to the stage Dr. David Schutt, who will speak to you from an SAE perspective. Thanks, David.
Thanks, Chris, and thanks, Ken. I'm really excited to be a part of this announcement. This is a really cool event. One of the great privileges I have is get to go to all these events, but this one is really tapping into some of the most exciting parts of our industry going forward. And I want to thank GM for the leadership. You've given us great credit for being a part of it, but the intellectual ideas came from here, and so we really appreciate that and the support. The AutoDrive Challenge is going to be an extraordinarily important and innovative new collegiate design competition. And it's a program that's going to help develop educationally relevant and technically proficient workforce. That's one of the biggest challenges that our industry faces right now. And more specifically, it's going to be a workforce that is capable of addressing these complex challenges such as autonomous vehicles and connected vehicles. And this competition is, at its core, is designed to develop that. Now, SAE, for more than 35 years, has been working at this STEM, or the science, technology, engineering, mathematics education. We have programs, the World in Motion, which goes K through 12, and then we have a series of 10 collegiate design competitions for the university. And I know many of the universities here are very prominent and expert in those programs. So the launch of this AutoDrive really builds on that capability, that expertise, and that legacy. And as Ken noted, it's a 3-year competition. And ultimately, we're going to be the ultimate goal is to demonstrate a fully autonomous driving vehicle. Now, not just a driving vehicle, self-driving vehicle, but in an urban environment, a very complex, sophisticated, unpredictable environment, which is where we drive every single day. SAE in the last several years, working with the industry, has developed definitions of different levels of autonomy. And so those that pay attention to it, the goal ultimately is to have a level 4 vehicle, which is a car that has a completely automated driving system and of all the operational driving aspects, even if the human driver doesn't respond in an appropriate amount of time. So the focus, as Ken said, is real world. It's on applications of sensing technologies, computing platforms, software design, and advanced computational methods. It's going to incorporate computer vision, pattern recognition, machine learning, artificial intelligence, sensor fusion, and autonomous vehicle controls. A really tall task. In year 1, which is going to be next year, 2018, the university teams will focus on concept selection and become familiar with the sensing and the computational software. That in and of itself is a pretty significant task in year 1. In the second year, the teams are going to refine the concepts that they develop, and they'll have more challenging dynamic events for testing on-site, which is going to include dynamic object detection and multiple lane changing. And then in the third year, the competition is going to culminate with the refinement of these concepts, and the teams are going to compete in a complex mission that will include speed, turnabouts, as well as moving object detection. Again, simulating real world. Now, GM, as Ken noted, is going to provide every university with a Chevrolet Bolt. Thank you. Without that, that can't happen. It's the vehicle, right? And it's a vehicle of the future, which is present today. And then, in addition, a whole series of strategic partners are going to come around us with technology and equipment, software for the students to use and capitalize. So today, I'm really pleased to announce one of those strategic partners. And it's a critical part. Once you have the car, you need to have the intelligence and the capacity but to work behind it. So I want to thank Karen Winters, who's here today from Intel. Intel is graciously going to provide all of the computing power, the equipment behind this. In addition to providing the equipment, they're also providing additional financial support to make sure that this competition is a success. And we really do appreciate that leadership that Intel has. Now, it's great that GM's here, and it's great that Intel's here, but I know many of you here want to know, well, which universities get to play. Noted 30 universities, rigorous RFP process, and there was a really rigorous rubric that went through. So I'm actually here to announce those winners. And they're not in alphabetical order, so I know your engineers can align things systematically. There is a random number generator inside my head. We'll go through here. It's going to be a little bit longer than you care for, but we want each team who gets announced to come up here. And we're going to take a moment to take a photo op, congratulate them. There's 8 schools, so please be patient as we get through it. And if you're up here, I'm going to have turned the script over so you don't get to peek who the other ones are. So, no random order, or in a random order, we're going to start first with Kettering University. Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you. Do we need the banner?
Yes, we do.
Somebody came prepared.
Engineers.
All right, congratulations, Kettering. Congratulations. All right, now we're going to go northwest, south of the border from here with the University of Waterloo. Congratulations. Congratulations. All right. Congratulations.
Nice work. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
These students wrote our proposal.
All right.
That's good. That's great. Nice work.
There's lots of cameras, so look in all different directions. All right, congratulations.
Thanks, everyone. Look forward to it. Great job. Great study.
All right. Let's have the representatives from Michigan State University come on up. Congratulations. Good work. I think the banners are the answers here. All right. Congratulations, Michigan State. All right, and let's have representatives of the University of Toronto. And how about Michigan Tech?
Good to see you.
again.
And how about Texas A&M University? All right. And how about North Carolina A&T State University?
Congratulations.
Oops. As I mentioned, we had a lot of excellent schools, and just because this is the 8th of 8 does not mean it's the least of the excellent. Let's welcome Virginia Tech to the stage.
There's someone else.
I want to thank all the schools for participating, and I want to especially congratulate and thank the schools who are going to be participating in this event going forward. You all know you've done some outstanding work in putting the proposals together, but you also know this is just the beginning of the journey. There's a whole lot of good work ahead of us. And regardless of where we end up in the competition standings, I think we're all winners. And I think more importantly, the automotive industry is going to be the winning, because we're going to have a workforce that is far more sophisticated and capable of addressing these problems and challenges of the future. So as I move to close, I do want to really give a sincere thanks to General Motors, to Ken Kelzer, Mark Johnson, he's over there. Mark has been one of our big advocates for a long time, and Kevin Dietrich. Their generous support, their challenges to us to think bigger, think differently, have been all part of putting this challenge together. Intel, thank you for being here as well. It is a great start. So stay tuned for the exciting competitions coming up. Plan your tickets out to the desert. It looks like it's going to be fun there, and I certainly know it's going to be an exciting ride. So thank you for being a part of this place.